All right, we'll say good morning. Let us begin with a beautiful daf ahead of us today. I want to thank our sponsors for this morning's share. To thank our week of learning sponsor, Salma Wolf, for dedicating the shiurim this week. Is his chus of refuah for her daughter, Naomi Bas Sara. We hope that in the merit of our Torah, she will have a refuah together with Kol Cholei Yisrael. And also with that, let us begin. So today's daf is Kuf Lamed Aleph, 131, and we are picking up in Meretz Hashem on Kuf Lamed Amud Beis, 130b. We're picking up actually Amarav. Or really, I guess it's Marnami Amarav Izera Amarav, which is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 lines up from the bottom, 130b. So remember again, we happen to kind of bring up a bit, no, not tangentially, because it's part of the same topic, namely the discussion regarding. Let's take a step back. We're embedded in this fundamental machlokes Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva regarding the permissibility to engage in machshirei mila on Shabbos. So remember again, everyone agrees you could do bris mila on Shabbos. Now, how does everyone? Where do we know that from? Again, we're actually going to get into that in today's Gemara. But interestingly enough, the Gemara takes it as the Mishnah took it as a davar pashit that of course you could do bris mila on Shabbos. The only shaila is, can you go ahead and do machshirei mila? Can you go ahead and do the preparatory acts for the bris milah on Shabbos? So Rabbi Eliezer saying, yes, you can. And Rabbi Eliezer going even so far as to say you can even make a knife for the milah on Shabbos. Rabbi Akiva saying, no, you can't. We've also seen yesterday's daf that Rabbi Akiva Shita is not just really Rabbi Akiva, but Rabbi Akiva Shita is the Shita of the Rabbanon. The majority view is not like Rabbi Eliezer. So that we ended off yesterday's daf with an interesting discussion about what happens if the baby and the knife are both in the same mavui, but let's say the mavui doesn't have a sheet of mavuos. What's possible under those circumstances? So the Gemara says as follows: Itmar, Amrav Zera Amarav, mavui shlo nishtatfu bo imitatlan bo ela bedal ramas. If you have a mavui that does not have a sheet of mavuos, as we saw, remember I'm going to both say, so a sheet of to a mavui is like an eruv chatzeros to Chatzeros, same basic yisod. So if you don't, these are all Erev and Sugyas. So if you have a mavoi that does not have a sheet of mavos, imital limbo, you cannot carry in that mavoi, elaba dalaramas, except dalaramas. So we'll say essentially treating it just like a Rosh Hashanah. Amar Abaye, Hamilsa, Amar Rabbi Zera, Velo Pirsha. Rabbi Zera, made this statement, but he never explained it. Ad Asar Rabbi Baravua O Pirshan. Rabbi Baravua came and he explained it. Amar Baravua, Amarav, mavoi shlo nishtatfu bo. If you have a mavui that does not have a sheet of mavos, so remember again, once more, how does a sheet of mavos work? The same way that when you have homes that open up into a joint chutzner, so the way you go ahead and you join those homes, so technically speaking on a rabbinic level, you can't carry from the homes into the chutzner, because since the chutzner is owned by so many, you can't carry from one home. So what do? Collect food from everyone, put that in one of the homes. That makes the entire chutzner the property of one home. Everyone lives in one home because home is where your food is. Therefore, Allah likes to carry from the homes into the chutzner. So you have multiple chatzeros that open up into a mavoi. Same idea. You'll collect food from all the different chatzeros, deposit that in the mavoi, and that allows for carrying from the chatzeros into the mavoi. So watch this. Let's say you have a mavoi that does not have a shituf. Right? You have a mavui that does not have the sheet of muvos. Ervu chatzeros in batin. So we'll say if the various homes made their own eruv chatzeros in their respective courtyards, ein metaltlin bo ela bedalaramas. In that case, you cannot carry in the mavui more than dalaramas. However, lo ervu chatzeros in batin. But if for some reason, again, the homes in question did not make an eruv chatzeros, then what? Mutra talta bekula. Then you can carry in the entire mavui. In the entire mavui. So now look at Rashi just a moment. Lo irvu chatzeros in batein shasurim b'nei abatim lohotzim batein lo chatzerim. So we'll say if a case where the homes did not make an eruv chatzeros, and therefore again the homes can't carry into the chatzer. In that case, the Mishnah said mutra talta bekulo, that you can carry throughout the entire mavui. Rashi says, this refers to utensils that began Shabbos in the mavui. Again, we'll see exactly what this means. On the flip side, If they made an Erev Chatzeros, then you cannot carry in the Mavui except for Dalet Amos. So the Gemara says, so again, if they made Erev Chatz, if the respective homes in their courtyards made an Erev Chatzeros, you could only carry within Dalet Amos of the Mavui. But if Haloch L'Maisa, there was no Erev Chatzeros, then ultimately, again, you can carry throughout the entire Mavui. Amar le Rav Chanina Chozal L'Rabba, Maishna. What's the meaning of this distinction? So we'll say why. So why is it, asked the Gemara, that if the homes made an eruv, right? If there was an eruv chatzeros, so what's the reason ultimately again that you can only carry dalet amis in the mavui? The nisku chatzeros v'nasabatim, because essentially in that case, once you make an eruv chatzeros, it's as if the chatzer disappears and all you have are homes. The Rav Latame the Amarav in Hamavoy Nitar Balechi Bekora Achu Batim top of Kufla Medalif Achu Batim Bechazeros Psuchan Socho. And I will say ultimately again, Rav is of the opinion that Haloch Lamaisa Mavui could only become permitted for carrying with a lechi or a kor. Remember again, a lechi or a kor is a horizontal or vertical beam. Again, we'll see this in Eruvin. Only if it's a mavui that has homes and courtyards opening into it. And in this case, Vahacha Batim Ika Chatzeros Leka. And because the homes have an eruv Chatzeros, halachically we view it as if there are homes. But ultimately, again, no Chatzeros. On the flip side, because we will say essentially that's what an eruv Chatzeros really does. An eruv Chatzeros really makes a courtyard with its respective homes into one big bias. One big bias. And because it's one big bias, therefore, halacha l'maisa, Rav says, you can't carry in the mavui, because the definition of a mavui is something which has homes and courtyards open up into it. That's when the mavui becomes permitted to carry if you have a lechi or a korah. But in this case, there are no homes, there are no chatzeros that open up into the mavui, only homes by dint of the eruv chatzeros. To which the Gemara said, 1 second, kilo ervunami, we'll say, but that's the case, and even if you didn't make a chatzeros, lachzinu lahani batim kiman destimi damu, the chatzeros iko batim lekaf. There was no eruv chatzeros, then you should view the homes as if they don't exist, and all you have are big chatzeros. And if that's the case, you have a situation of chatzeros that open up into a mavoi, but no batim. If that's the case, you shouldn't be able to carry in the mavoi either. To which the Gemara says, here's the difference. Efshar demevatli le rishusa de kulu legabe chad. See, they both say, interestingly enough, it's always possible in the case where they did not make an eruv chatzeros, we'll see this case of bittul rishus, where ultimately, essentially, everyone could yield their ownership rights to one individual. If you look at Rashi for just a moment, it's the last wide line on the top of Rashi. Efshar demevatli b'nei habatim shebechatzer rishus sheish lam bechatzer legabe chad minahu. All the residents of the chutzner have the ability to yield their chutzner ownership rights to one individual. And it turns out that the entire chutzner is his. So we're going to see this in Erev, and it's actually quite interesting that in situations where you did not make an Erev Chatzeros, we'll say if you didn't make an Erev Chatzeros, so what's the issue? So let's say all of us live in one chutzner. Live in a chutzner in Yerushalayim together. Okay, so we go ahead and we all live in one chutzner. We forgot to make an erev chatzeros on erev Shabbos, which means then none of us could carry from our homes into the joint courtyard. So you have a choice. We could leave it like that, or what all of us could do is relinquish our rights in the chutzner to one individual. So that all of us yield our rights. So what does that accomplish? Well, it doesn't accomplish anything for me and you, but we'll call him Ruvain, right? If all of us yield our rights to Ruvain, Ruvain can now carry from his home into the chutzner. Okay, the rest of us can't, but at least one person from the courtyard can. So the Maisa the Gemara says that even in a case where there was no eruv chatzeros, you could always be mavantal rishus. So therefore, there'll be one bias. Sof bias ika batim leka. That's fine. Rabbi say again, according to Rav's wording, or according to his rationale, the only time that a mavui could become permitted through a lechi or a korah is if it has batim and chatzeros, homes plural and chatzeros. In this case, then you'd be yielding it to one home. There's only one home that still wouldn't like to carry in the mavui. To which the Gemara says, "Efshar demitzarfa." I'm sorry, Efshar demitzafra va'ad pal godiyom legabe chad. You can see, well, interesting enough, what you can do is from morning until midday, you could yield ownership rights to one individual. And from the afternoon till the evening, you could give it to another one. So we'll say, so ultimately, again, there are two people. So that could be called batim. All right. Sof, ba'idna di'ise lahai, leise lahai. I will say, but 1 second, at the end of the day, that's fine. You can give it to Reuben in the morning, Shimon in the afternoon, but at any given time, there's only one person. Rather, Rav Ashi says, what caused the chazeros to become asr? Ultimately, again, batim, and in this case, leka. There are no batim legabe the mavui. Okay, I will say this is a totally tangential conversation, only because the Gemara brought up the case of bris milah, where the baby is on one side of the mavui, the knife is on the other side of the mavui, and what can you do under those circumstances? So again, we'll get into all of these sugyas in just a couple of weeks when we begin with Seches Eruvin. So we'll get into how what the halachic definition of a mavui is, and ultimately, again, how you allow or how you make a mavui fit for carrying. We'll see. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. So we'll say, so this sugya now, we're going to get now into the kishkas of machshirim. It's very exciting, very exciting. Amar Rav Ashi. So the Gemara says as follows. I'm sorry. Amar Reb Chia bar Abba Amar Rabbi Yochanan. We'll say, here we go. Lo l'chol Amar Rabbi Eliezer machshirei mitzvah dochen es haShabbos. So we'll say, listen to this. It's not in all circumstances that Rabbi Eliezer said machshirei mitzvah are dochen Shabbos. We'll say, so let's take a step back. You see, our Mishnah is specifically focused on bris milah. Right? So the shaila is, can you perform machshirei mitzvah, which is, again, not the mitzvah itself, but rather the preparatory acts necessary to perform a mitzvah. So, for example, in milah, that could be the transporting of the knife. Or, again, in an extreme case, the creation of the knife. So I will say, so the Gemara now comes along, Rabbi Chia comes along, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, and says, by the way, just because Rabbi Eliezer allows for machshirei mitzvah to be performed, for milah to be performed on Shabbos, doesn't mean that he allows it in any case. We're going to see there are exceptions. Rabbi Eliezer will agree that there are times where you cannot perform machshirei mitzvah on Shabbos. Okay, like when? See, here we go. For example, we'll say shtei alechem. So remember, shtei alechem is the two loaves, the offering that's offered up on Shavuos. So shtei alechem, chovas hayomin are an obligation on Shavuos day. So we'll say, so you would have thought as follows. You see, if Rabbi Eliezer always allowed for the performance of machshirei mitzvah on Shabbos or on Yom Tiv, so again, that would cover all cases. Yet, interestingly enough, follow this for just a moment. Rabbi Eliezer is going to allow for the preparatory acts for the shtei alechem offering on Shavuos, but interestingly enough, he learned it from a Gzera Shava. Now, the fact that he had to learn it from a Gzera Shava tells us that were it not for the Gzera Shava, then what? Then the machshirei mitzvah of shtei alechem would not have been doches Shabbos. So what's the Gzera Shava? So the Gemara says, the Sanya. Very interesting. But also really, really fascinating. So the Sanya, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, minayin lemachshirei shtei alechem shedochen es haShabbos. How do I know that machshirei shtei alechem is doches Shabbos? So we'll say. So remember again, just to give you an idea, what's the machshirei ochal nefesh the machshirei shtei alechem? We'll say, for example, remember, shtei alechem came from wheat. So we'll say, so what happens if halacha l'maaseh I forgot to cut down the wheat, right? Erev Yom Tiv. So I could cut down the wheat. I could grind the wheat. I can make shtei alechem. I can make it on Yom Tiv. That's machshirei. So the Gemara says, how do you know that you could do that? Shedochen es haShabbos. Nemra hava ba'omer v'nemra hava b'shtei alechem. Torah uses the lashon of hava, of bringing, by the carbon omer, and uses lashon of hava, of bringing by shtei alechem. Ma hava ha'amura ba'omer machshirin dochen es haShabbos. Just like hava by carbon omer, hava teaches me that I could do whatever I need to do for the carbon omer on Shabbos. Right, so machshirei omer is doches Shabbos. Af hava ha'amura b'shtei alechem machshirin doches Shabbos. So too, again, anything I need to do for the shtei alechem, machshirei shtei alechem, is doches Shabbos. So we'll say, so effectively, Rabbi Eliezer says, while it is true that machshirei shtei alechem sets aside Shabbos, that's learned out from a Gzera Shava to Omer. just like Karban Omer Machshireha, which again means the cutting down of the Omer, the grinding up of the Omer, right? The making of the carbon, all that is Docha Shabbos. So to Shtei Alechem is Docha Shabbos. So take a look at Rashi for just a moment. Mahava Hamura Ba'omer Machshira. So what's the example of the Machshirin? Ultimately, again, by the carbon Omer. Dahainu Ktsira, Tchina, Harkada Shalo, Dochen Asa Shabbos. Because also you could cut down the Omer on Shabbos, you could grind up, you could sift the flour. These are mamish avos malachos. Yet you could go ahead and do all of these things on Shabbos, just like the preparation of the Omer. Machshirei Omer is docha Shabbos. So too machshirei shtei halechem is docha Shabbos as well. The Gemara says, by the way, mufni. Now also we've seen this throughout our journeys in Shas. Mufni is also, how do you make a gzera shava? And make a gzera shava. So the simple answer is, we don't make Gezerah Shabbos. We learn Gezerah Shabbos, right? But how did Chazal make Gezerah Shabbos? Or again, how Gezerah Shabbos handed down? Usually, it's a very simple process. You find a word, and again, I want to point out, say people don't make Gezerah Shabbos. I mean, Gezerah Shabbos are part of Torah Shebbal Peh. They were handed down at Har Sinai. There's sometimes a machlokas as to what the Masorah was, or sometimes some have a Masorah for Gezerah Shabbos, others don't have one. But Lamaisi, again, people don't just make them up. So this is very important. So what is Gezerah Shabbos? I find the word in context A, or a phrase in context A, a word or a same phrase in context B, and that allows me to go ahead and create a halachic bridge between those two concepts, learning out concepts from one to the other, and so back and forth. So therefore, again, here I'm making Gezerah Shabbos, hava. It says bring, right? Hava by Omer, hava by Shtei Alechem. Just like Omer machshireha are dochen Shabbos, so too again machshir Shtei Alechem are dochen Shabbos. Now, the Gemara says this only works, by the way, if mufni. They both say mufni means that the word or the phrase used for the Gezerah Shabbos is not necessary to teach us anything else, meaning it's what we call a totally open drasha. So it's not being used for anything else. Why? The Gemara says mufni. Di'i lo mufni, because they both say if the words on both ends are not fully open, I could ask a very strong pircha on this Gezerah Shabbos. In other words, I could destroy this Gezerah Shabbos. How could I destroy it? Very simple. Mala Omer shekeni matzah katzer kotzer. We'll say there's a fascinating halacha by Karban Omer, which is that halacha l'maisa. Remember, Karban Omer comes from barley. So what happens? You go out to the field and you find cut barley. Givaldik. Right? Incredible. Someone else did the work for me. Right? They cut down the barley. Can you use that barley for Karban Omer? And the answer is no. Why not? Because as Rashi points out over here, matzah shekin matzah katzor shalol l'shem Omer mitzvah liktra l'shma. So also listen to this. The halacha by Karban Omer is it's not just that you have to cut down barley. You have to cut down barley l'shem karban ha'omer. And in fact, interestingly enough, if you find cut barley, but it was not necessarily cut, but it wasn't cut l'shem mitzvahs omer, you can't use it. So the Gemara says, you're learning out Shtei Alechem from Karban Omer, but I just want to point out Karban Omer has a dramatic difference. That if you go into the field and you find cut barley, you may not use that for the Karban Omer. Yet, shematza katzer kotzer. Even if you find cut harvested barley, you must still cut new harvested barley. Tomer b'shtei alechem she'im matza katzur ina kotzer. Yet, interestingly enough, by shtei alechem, if you find that it was cut, you don't have to cut it again. So it's interesting. Remember, shtei alechem, which was brought from wheat. If you find wheat already cut in the field, no problem. You can go ahead and use that. You don't have to cut down. The wheat being used to fashion the two loaves for the shtei alechem need not be harvested lishma. Shabbos says so. Therefore, in order for this gezerah, so this what the Gemara is pointing out is this is a bit of a strained gezerah shava because there is a huge pircha on it. There's a huge question on it. The only way it works is if the gezerah shava is open on both ends, mufni. To which the Gemara said, "Loy." The truth is yes, afnuye mufni. In fact, it is open on both ends. This drasha does in fact, this Gezerah Shava does in fact work on both ends. After all, michdi ksiv veveisim so reishes ktsirchem ala kohen. So the pasuk says you shall bring the omer, the reishes ktsirchem, right, the first of the harvest to the kohen. Biyo Biyom aviachem lamali. So why do I need that phrase? Biyom aviachem. Shmamina la'afnuye. Ultimately, again, to open up the drasha, to show that the phrase is not needed for anything else. There's an extra hava. So the extra hava is used ultimately for the gzera shava. Ba'kati mufnim misadechadu. But I will say, one second, that only tells me that the drasha is open on the end from the omer. It's mufni from the omer. Right? It's open on the omer side of the drasha. What about the Shtei Lechem side of the drasha? According to Rabbi Eliezer, if a gzera shava is only mufna on one end, a pircha could still come along and destroy it. In order for it to be an indestructible gzera shava, it must be mufna, must be open on both ends. In Achinami, to which the Gemara says, taviu ribuyahu. There's an extra word of taviu by the Shtei Halechem, an extra hava, that's the word hava, an extra taviu, and that extra taviu opens up the drasha, making an extraneous word, and therefore, again, I will say the drasha works. So remember, this is Shitas Rabbi Eliezer. So Rabbi Eliezer telling me that halacha lemaisa, so we'll say now we have two cases, or actually now three cases. I've got, according to Rabbi Eliezer, that machshire mila can be done on Shabbos, machshire omer can be done on Shabbos, and now machshire Shtei Halechem can be done on Shabbos. Omer, so Shtei Halechem, according to Rabbi Eliezer, being learned out from a gzera shava Shtei Halechem being learned out from a gzera shava from Omer. Good. So the Gemara says as follows. So let's go weiter. So we'll say, remember again, we had before a statement of Rabbi Yochanan, right? And Rabbi Yochanan said that Rabbi Eliezer does not allow machshirei mitzvah in every case to be done on Shabbos. Okay. So what is he excluding? According to Rabbi Eliezer, so what's the case of machshirei mitzvah which cannot be done on Shabbos? So watch this. We'll say, this is really fascinating because what we're going to do now is just go through a whole bunch of mitzvahs and you're going to see how incredibly expansive Rabbi Eliezer's view actually is. So it says the Gemara, if you want to say it comes to exclude lulav, so we'll say, so B'pashtus, what does that mean? So we'll say, the Gemara says, V'hatanya, we learned, lulav v'chol machshir v'dochen es Hashem, Rabbi Eliezer. So we'll say, we learned that lulav, and all of it is Hashem. So we'll say, so what would be an example of machshirei mitzvah by a lulav? So very simple. I forgot to pick my lulav on Erev Shabbos. So we'll say, when we think about picking a lulav, you think about going over to the table and deciding which one you want. No. I mean, literally picking my lulav. I forgot to take it off the palm tree. So according to Rabbi Eliezer, I would be permitted to go over to the palm tree and remove the lulav on Shabbos. So we see lulav, v'chol machshir v'dochen es Hashem, Rabbi Eliezer. So okay, so remember we'll say, understand what we're looking for. We're looking for the case where Rabbi Eliezer holds machshirei mitzvah is not docha Shabbos. Okay, so maybe it's lulav. Nope, it's not lulav. Rabbi Eliezer permits machshirei mitzvah by lulav on Shabbos. Ve'elah lemi'utei sukkah. So maybe it's sukkah. So we'll say, so what's the case of sukkah? Very simple. I forgot to make a sukkah on Erev Yom Tiv. The act of constructing a sukkah could be binyan, or better yet, again, I forgot to go ahead and I don't have wood for my sukkah. I don't have schach for my sukkah. So Rabbi Eliezer, so machshirei mitzvah would mean you could cut down schach. Rabbi Eliezer says, the Gemara says, V'atanya sukkah v'chol machshir adochen es Hashem, Rabbi Eliezer. So Rabbi Eliezer holds that by sukkah, you're permitted to engage not only in the mitzvah, but machshirei mitzvah as well. Ve'ela lemi'utei matzah. Maybe he's coming to exclude matzah. So we'll say, so remember again, so the mitzvah matzah is matzah consumption. What's machshirei mitzvah? So machshirei mitzvah would be what? Machshirei mitzvah would be cutting down the wheat, grinding the wheat, right? Anything you need to do to make matzah. I have hatanya matzah v'chol machshireha dochen es Shabbos divrei Rabbi Eliezer. Wow. So we'll say, so again, you see how expansive Rabbi Eliezer holds that not only can you eat matzah, but again, you could even go ahead and prepare matzah. Any machshirei mitzvah for the creation of matzah is permissible on Shabbos. Ve'ela lemi'utei shofar. So we'll say, so maybe it's shofar. Maybe it's shofar. Maybe Rabbi Eliezer holds that as much as you're allowed to blow shofar on Shabbos, came to machshirei shofar. So we'll say, remember again, shofar, what would be the cases of shofar? Cutting it off the animal, cleaning it out, boiling it up. V'atanya, shofar v'chol machshirav dochen es Shabbos divrei Rabbi Eliezer. Yet Rabbi Eliezer holds that halacha l'maisa, all of the machshirei mitzvah of the shofar are permitted on Shabbos. Amar Rav Ada bar Ava, lemi'utei tzitzis letaliso umezuzah lepischa. So outside now we found the case. What's the case? Putting up a mezuzah or putting tzitzis on your four-cornered garment. I will say, so Rabbi Eliezer would hold that you cannot do those things on Shabbos. Rashi says, "Mu'utei tzitzis shelo yitla b'talisa b'Shabbos." So even Rabbi Eliezer would agree that halacha l'maisa, you can't put tzitzis on your garment on Shabbos, and you can't put a mezuzah on your home. Tanya Yachi, a Raisa that supports this. Shavin, both Rabbi Eliezer and the Rabbanon or Rabbi Akiva agree. Shimtzietz taliso v'asa mezuzah lepischo shuchayiv. That if you put tzitzis on your garment on Shabbos, or you put the mezuzah on your home, that you are chayiv. And I will say, whatever you're chayiv for, obviously for tzitzis, it would be the malacha of kosher, of tying, right? You're tying knots for tzitzis. For mezuzah, it could very well be that you're chayiv for bona, for building. But lamaisi, yichayiv. My taima, what's the reason for this? Rav Yosef, lefi she'im kavua lahem zman. So I said, this is very interesting. When does Rabbi Eliezer allow for the performance of machshirei mitzvah on Shabbos? When the mitzvah has to be done that day. So Rabbi Eliezer says, it's really quite fascinating and probably intuitive to most of you, which is Rabbi Eliezer's svara is like this. If the Torah is telling me that the mitzvah has to be done today, and normally this mitzvah itself would represent a malacha. So once the Torah is telling me that once the Torah is specific, that this mitzvah must be done today, and today, even if today is Shabbos, that tells me that what? The mitzvah and anything associated with the mitzvah can be done that day. So we'll say, so remember again, Mila is going to be like the paradigmatic example of this, right? So if the Torah tells me that I have to give a Mila on the 8th day, afilu b'Shabbos, that means anything associated with Mila. If I have to blow the shofar in Rosh Hashanah, say anything to do with the shofar becomes mutter. If I have to eat matzah on Pesach, sit in a sukkah on Sukkot, say anything that enables the performance of these mitzvos, or anything that enables me to perform these mitzvos is going to be mutter. But what about something that doesn't have a time? So tzitzis and mezuzah, which I both say again, ultimately it could be done today, could be done tomorrow. So that Rabbi Eliezer will agree that halacha l'maisa, that's not Docha Shabbos. That's not Docha Shabbos. And because, again, the Iker mitzvah is not Docha Shabbos, then certainly what? The Machshirei mitzvah, the preparatory acts will not be Docha Shabbos as well. So Amalei Abaye said, this is such a fascinating idea. Amalei Abaye, Adrabah. Abaye said just the opposite. Mide'im kavur lahem zman, the fact that these mitzvahs, mezuzah and tzitzis don't have a set time, what does that mean? Amud Beis. Kol shaita v'shaita zmanehu. But say, look, it's such a different way of looking at it. You see, Rabbi Eliezer would say, or I should say Rav Yosef says, that the fact that a mitzvah doesn't have a particular time means that its time is not now. That's right. Since it doesn't have a defined time, that allows me to say this is not the mitzvah that devolves upon me that must be done in this moment. Abai comes along and says just the opposite. When a mitzvah doesn't have a set time, that means what? The obligation devolves upon me every given moment. So we'll say, you hear this machlokis, it's like a machlokis in hashkafa. How do you view a non-time bound mitzvah? Do you view it because it's not time bound, therefore again the obligation is sometime, but just not now? Or do you see now the fact that it's not time bound actually makes it stronger than a time bound mitzvah? You see, the mitzvah of matzah is only 7 days. The mitzvah of sukkah is only 7 days. The mitzvah of shofar is only 1 day, technically. Right? So again, mitzvah of milah is only 1 day, or really it devolves on 1 day. But tzitzis, every day, every moment. Mezuzah, every day, every moment. So again, I will say, interesting machlok is how to view this. So Rav Yosef is saying, Rabbi Eliezer would hold you can't do machshirei mitzvah for tzitzis and for mezuzah, because again, it doesn't have to be done on Shabbos. It can be done on Sunday. It can be done on Friday. It can be done on Tuesday. Abaye will say just the opposite. The fact that it's not limited to a time means it must be done today. To which the Gemara says, no, Rabbi says, so the answer is still the same. The example of a mitzvah for which Rabbi Eliezer holds that machshirei mitzvah will not be docha Shabbos, the example will still be tzitzis and mezuzah, but for a different reason. Because in any given moment, you could always exempt yourself from those mitzvos. How can you exempt yourself from those mitzvos? So we'll say, interestingly enough, if you take your garment and you make it hefker, so remember, there's no obligation in tzitzis. There's only an obligation of four-corner garment if you own it. But if you make it hefker, there's no obligation. Right? There's only an obligation in mezuzah if you own your home. If you don't own your home, no obligation. So the Gemara says, interestingly enough, because at any given moment, a person could be mafkir their home, a person could be mafkir their garment. Therefore, what? The mitzvah of mezuzah and the mitzvah of tzitzis will not be docha Shabbos. And because the mitzvah is not docha Shabbos, so too machshirin will not be docha Shabbos as well. So both say, so interestingly enough, it appears that in 98% of circumstances, Rabbi Eliezer would hold that machshirei mitzvah, the preparatory acts necessary for the performance of the mitzvah, are docha Shabbos. So far, in our list of trying to figure out the exceptions, there seem to be only two, which are tzitzis and mezuzah. But if we kind of develop this a little bit more, it appears that what Rabbi Eliezer is really saying is any mitzvah that doesn't have to be done on Shabbos is not going to be docha Shabbos. But Lamaisa, any mitzvah which has to be done on Shabbos, not only is the mitzvah docha Shabbos, but what? The machshirei mitzvah also docha Shabbos. So we'll say now, we're going to go back through that previous list. Here we go. Amar Mar. So we said before. So says the Gemara. Amar Mar. Both say really fascinating. Amar Mar. Lulav v'chamachiv dochnas Hashem Rabbi Eliezer. So remember again, we said before that lulav and the machshirei mitzvah of lulav are docha Shabbos. So the Gemara says, "Mina le Rabbi Eliezer." So where does Rabbi Eliezer know this from? So you must remember again, the Gemara rattled off all of these cases. Rabbi Eliezer holds that machshirei mitzvah is docha Shabbos. Now the Gemara is going to go back and say, "Okay, I'd like to know where you know this from." So says the Gemara, where do you know that lulav is docha? That lulav the chol machshirei is docha Shabbos. So ime omer shtei alechem. If you want to tell me that you learn it out from the Karban Omer and the Shtei HaLechem. So we'll say, so remember again, if you want to say, just like Karban Omer and Shtei HaLechem, they're Docha Shabbos and they're Machshira Docha Shabbos, so to Lulav, the mitzvahs Docha Shabbos and Machshira Docha Shabbos, that doesn't work. I'll tell you why. She came Tzorech Gavoa. So you both say, Omer and Shtei HaLechem are Karbanos. They're offered up on the Mizbeach. So because they're Karbanos, maybe they operate with a different set of circumstances. In other words, we'll say, so who's to say that, I can make the argument that halacha l'maisa, maybe for karbanos, machshirin are docha Shabbos, but for other things, they're not docha Shabbos. Ela amar kra bayom afilu b'Shabbos. So we'll say, Rabbi Gemara says, according over from the pasuk says, ulakachtem lachem bayom harishon. You shall take the lulav on the first day. What do we learn from here? Bayom means afilu b'Shabbos. Even if the first day of Sukkot falls out on Shabbos, you still take the lulav and esrog. So the Gemara says, now, what does that give me a license to do? Ulamai hilchasa. Well, so if you want to tell me that the pasuk is allowing me to move the lulav, that doesn't make sense. I'll tell you why. So remember again, what's wrong with moving a lulav? It's a potential issue of what? Of muktzah. Here's the problem. Muktzah is a rabbinic innovation, right? So the Torah is not going to give me a pasuk to permit muktzah for a simple reason. The Torah doesn't have a concept of muktzah. So therefore, again, I don't need a drasha to permit something that is already biblically permitted. So I say, here's what I know, or here's what I think we know. Bayom teaches me that something regarding lulav could happen even if it's Shabbos. Say if you want to tell me it's the movement of the lulav that I can carry the lulav, I don't need a pasuk to permit that. There's no concept of muktzah from the Torah. Ella lemachshirav. So we'll say, rather, Rabbi Eliezer will say, ulakachtem lachem bayom arishon. Bayom means you could take the lulav no matter what on the first day, even if the first day is Shabbos. What is the Torah Kedosha coming to permit on Shabbos? Machshirin. Machshirin, preparatory acts. So whatever you need to do to be able to perform the mitzvah of lulav on the first day of Yom Tiv that falls out on Shabbos, you can do. Even if it means cutting that lulav off a tree, even if it means trimming the, whatever you have to do, machshirin is going to be permitted. V'Rabbanan, what do the Rabbanan do with the word bayom? Because also remember again, the Rabbanan do not agree with the notion that machshirei lulav can be done on Shabbos. They do not agree with that concept. So if that's the case, what do they do with the word bayom? Rabbanan, hahumi baile bayom v'lo balayla. Much simpler drasha. The Rabbanan hold that bayom teaches me that what? That lulav can be done, or the mitzvah of lulav is by day, and not at night. I have Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer, where do you know that the mitzvah of lulav could only be done by day and not at night? Nafkalei. So I will say he learns it out from the pasuk from the phrase of usmachtem lifnei Hashem Elokeichem shivas yamim. The pasuk says, it's the same pasuk. Rabbi says that you shall rejoice before Hashem for 7 days. What do you learn from here? Yamim velo leilos. So that's Rabbi Eliezer holds the drasha. It means days. Lulav is only taken by day and not at night. V'rabbanon. What do the Rabbanon do with that phrase? It's derech. I need that phrase for something else. So we'll say, otherwise, I would have thought that maybe we learn out the 7 days of Sukkot, or I should say, we learn out the 7 days of Daled Minim, of Lulav and Esrog, from the 7 days of Sukkah. Just like I was saying by the mitzvah of Sukkah. The mitzvah of Sukkah is both by day and at night. Afkan Yamim Va'afilu Leilos. So too, by Daled Minim, it's also day and night. Kamash Malon not. Kamash will say that ultimately Usmachtem with Hashem Elokeichem Shivas Yomim, because the mitzvah of lulav is dafka by day and not at night. Says the Gemara. So we'll say, so that's what we have so far. So therefore, again, we have Rabbi Eliezer coming along and saying that Bayom teaches me, that Bayom teaches me that even machshirei lulav can be done on Shabbos, first day of Yom Tov itself. So you could cut it down from the tree. The Rabbi on this great Rabbi Eliezer, they hold that Bayom teaches me that halacha l'maisa, mitzvah of lulav can only be performed by day and not by night. I asked the Gemara a different question. The Gemara says, "V'lichtov rachmana b'lulav v'nesu hanach v'nilfal." So we'll say, so at a certain point in time, according to Rabbi Eliezer, there seems to be a redundancy, right? Rabbi Eliezer, as we're going to see, is learning out in all of these cases that halacha l'maisa machshirei mitzvah are permitted on Shabbos. So why do you have to learn it out from all these different cases? I have a better idea. Learn it out from lulav, right? Let lulav be the paradigm, and learn out other mitzvahs from lulav. So say, just like machshir mitzvah of lulav adocha Shabbos, so too again, I'll learn out omer and shtei halechem from lulav. Why do you have to learn it out separately in every single case? I'll tell you why. Mishum dikal mifrach mala lulav shekein ta'on arba minim. So we'll say lulav is a unique mitzvah. Why is lulav a unique mitzvah? Because it has many accessories to it, right? There's lulav, there's esrog, there's hadassim, there's arabas, there's agudah, there's all these different things. So because lulav is a unique mitzvah like that, I will say, right? Remember again, karban omer is barley, shtei alechem is wheat. In other words, these are kind of, I'm not going to call it one-dimensional mitzvahs, but more simple mitzvahs. Masha'inke lulav is made up of 4 parts. So because lulav is a more complex mitzvah, perhaps it cannot be used as the source to learn out other things. Fine. So let's say we're going down the list. Sukkah. The chomach shirah dochen es Shabbos divrei Rabbi Eliezer. So remember again, Rabbi Eliezer said before, that's Sukkah. And the machshirei mitzvah of Sukkah are docha Shabbos. Says the Gemara, minal leiv Rabbi Eliezer ha. So where does Rabbi Eliezer, how does he know this? Where does he learn this out from? So watch this. If you want to say he learns out Sukkah from Omer and Shtei Halechem, just like Omer and Shtei Halechem, they're machshir adocha Shabbos. So too by Sukkah, machshir adocha Shabbos. That doesn't work. I'll tell you why. Shekin tzorach kavohu. Remember, we'll say you can't really learn anything from Omer and Shtei Halechem. Why not? Why not? They're karbanos. They're karbanos. So you could understand this, right? Maybe karbanos just have their own halachas, but just because by karban you could do machshirin, doesn't mean by other things you do machshirin. Imi lulav. If you want to say let's learn out sukkah from lulav, that doesn't work. Why? Shekein ta'un arba minim. Remember we just said before, lulav is already going to be different. Why? Because of daled minim. Ella gamar shivas yamim milulav. Rather, I will say what we do is a gzera shavav shivas yamim from lulav. It says shivas yamim by sukkah. It says shivas yamim by lulav. Ma lahalon, just like by lulav. Machshirav dochenas haShabbos, just like by lulav. Just like by lulav. Salach lamaisa the machshir adocha Shabbos. Afkan nami machshir docha Shabbos. So too by sukkah machshirin will be docha Shabbos. The Gemara says v'lichtov rachmana b'sukkah v'neisi hanach v'nigmar minei. So fine. So we'll say I have a good idea. let's go ahead and learn it out by, let's make sukkah the paradigm. Let's say by sukkah, just like sukkah machshir nadocha Shabbos, let's learn everything out from sukkah, right? Lulav will be the machshir lulav adocha Shabbos, machshir omer docha Shabbos, machshir shtei alechem docha Shabbos. Learn from lulav. Mishum the ikul mifrach malus sukkah shekin oheges baleilos kebiyamin. Because I will say, you can't learn from sukkah. Why? Because sukkah is an interesting pircha. What's the pircha of sukkah? Sukkah applies by day and by night. So because sukkah applies by day and by night, therefore what? I might have thought that's different than all of these other mitzvahs, right? Lulav doesn't apply by day and by night. Shtei alechem, karban omer, not by day and by night. So therefore, again, you can't learn them out. Good. We'll say weiter. Matzah, v'chol machshir adochen es haShabbos. We'll say, according to Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Eliezer says that matzah, the mitzvah matzah, any machshirei matzah, it's really dramatic, which means according to Rabbi Eliezer, first day of Pesach comes along, you need matzah. You forgot to make matzah. You go out to the field, cut down the wheat, grind it up, sift it, do all the different things, and make yourself matzah on Shabbos. It's wild. So Manoli the Rabbi Eliezer, where does Rabbi Eliezer learn this from? If he learns out from Omer Shtei Alechem, that can't be. Shekein Tzorech Gavoa, because also as we keep saying, Omer Shtei Alechem are kind of in a category of their own. Why? Karbanos. Imi Lulav, if you want to say learns out from Lulav, Shekein Ton Araminim. That doesn't work because Lulav is unique and separate. Why? Because Lulav is Araminim. Imi Sukkah, if you learn from Sukkah, Shekein Oheges Baleilos Kebiyamar. Well, again, Sukkah is also unique. Why? Because Sukkah applies by day and by night. So where does he learn out that Machshirei Matzah are Docha Shabbos? Ella, here we go. Gamar Chamishasa Michaga Sukkos. So we'll say the famous Gzer Shava Tesvav that links the Yamim Tovim of Sukkos and Pesach. He saw Gzer Shava of Chamishasa. So he says Gzer Shava of from Sukkos to Pesach. Ma lahalon Machshirei Docha Nasa Shabbos. Just like by Sukkos, Machshirei Mitzvah are Docha Shabbos, right? So just like again, Machshirei Mitzvah by Sukkah, as we saw before, Docha Shabbos, Afkan Machshirei Docha Nasa Shabbos. So too by Matzah, Machshirei Mitzvah Docha Shabbos. V'lichtov Rachmona b'Matzah, v'neiso Hanach v'ligmar minei. So if that's the case, why not just go ahead and write? Why don't you learn it out from Matzah? And we'll say, let's learn everything else from Matzah. So let's just say, just like by Matzah, Machshirei Mitzvah Docha Shabbos, we'll say, go down the list. So too by Shtei Alechem, Karbana Omer, Lulav, Sukkah, everything else learn out from Matzah. I'll tell you why. Mushum de Igel Mifrach, because I will say Matzah as a pircha. What's the pircha? Shokein Nagos Benoshim Kiba'anoshim. Matzah is unique. Why? Because the mitzvah Matzah devolves upon men and women. Right, I will say, right, the obligation ultimately, again, on the first day of Pesach, the biblical obligation is upon men and women. That's different than Lulav, right? Lulav is not upon women. Sukkah is not upon women. Therefore, Allah, you could not use matzah as the paradigmatic source. Shofar v'chol machshir of dochen. So this is incredible. I said about shofar. So remember again, Rabbi Eliezer says that shofar, and all of its preparatory acts are docha Shabbos. Div Rabbi Eliezer. So Menalei the Rabbi Eliezer ha. So we'll say, so from where does Rabbi Eliezer learn this out from? Ime Omer Ushtei Halechem. If you want to say they learn, so we'll say, so remember again, this means, so we'll say this isn't as much, well, this allows, of course, for the blowing of, you could blow the shofar on Shabbos, but remember again, Rabbi Eliezer is allowing for the preparation of the shofar. You don't have a shofar on Shabbos. Rabbi Eliezer says, you can make one on Shabbos, or you could carry one, let's say through Shusarabim on Shabbos, whatever you need to do in order to go ahead and blow shofar on Shabbos, that's Rosh Hashanah, you could do so. So where does he learn this out from? If you want to say learn from Omer Shtei Alechem, so same answer. That doesn't work. Shekein tzorech gavoa. But remember again, Omer Shtei Alechem once again are in a category of their own. Why? Because lemaisa, they're karbanos. Imi lulav. If you want to say learn from lulav, shekein to arba minim. Again, that's not going to work either. Why lulav is also unique because it needs arba minim. Imi sukkah. If you want to learn from sukkah, shekein no heges. Baleilos Kibiyamim. Mitzvah Sukkah applies by day and by night. Imi Matzah, if you want to learn out from Matzah, so Shekein Hages Benoshim Kiba Anoshim. So Matzah won't work. Why? Because Matzah applies to men and to women. So I will say, so where do I learn out that Sukkah, that Shofar V'chol Machshireh Har Dochen Shabbos? Elo, Amakra, Yom Trua Yeh Lochem. The pasuk says it'll be a day of Trua for you. Bayom afilu b'Shabbos. It means by day, even Shabbos. So I'll say Yom Trua Yeh Lochem teaches me that ultimately, again, the mitzvah of shofar applies even if it falls out on Shabbos. And Rabbi Eliezer understands that to mean, what does it mean? The mitzvah applies. The mitzvah, b'chol machshirah. Anything you need to do in order to perform the mitzvah can be done on Shabbos. The Gemara says, by the way, ulamai. What does that mean? Like, what exactly are we being matir over here? This is very interesting. If you want to say it's for the pasuk is coming to teach me that I can blow the shofar on Shabbos, it is mutter to blow the shofar on Shabbos for a different reason. We'll say the Torah says that on Shabbos you can't do malacha. Yazis atikiyah shofar, redias hapas, shichachma ve'ina malacha. I will say this comes to exclude the blowing of the shofar and the removing of bread from an oven. I will say these are not considered to be malachas. These are chachmas. We referenced this last week. So I will say it's very interesting that there's a distinction between a malacha and a chachma. Right? A malacha refers to some type of dynamic activity which produces a concrete result versus a chachma which represents a skill. Right, or the application of a skill set. So, for example, removal of bread. Remember, we spoke about this before because they used to bake the bread by sticking it on the side of the oven. So it was an umnus, it was a chachma to be able to remove the bread. Tkiyah shofar is not blowing the shofar is not a malacha. We'll say it's a skill. So skills or the performance of skills, the use of skills is not asr on Shabbos. Malacha is asr on Shabbos. So we'll say, watch this. The Gemara says, fine. So Bayom Trua tells me that it's permitted to go ahead and have the shofar on Shabbos. What's permitted? If you're telling me that Torah is coming to permit the blowing of shofar, the blowing of the shofar was always biblically permitted. It was never biblically prohibited, even on Shabbos. What is coming to permit? Ella l'machshirin. Rather, I both say the license over here that's being conveyed is what? A license to even make the shofar. That halacha l'maisa, if you don't have a shofar, you need to make a shofar on Shabbos, you can make it even on Shabbos. That's what it's coming to permit. So the Gemara says, 1 second. V'rabanan, Rabbi say that's Shilas Rabbi Eliezer. V'rabanan, haomi baile bayom v'lo balayla. Both say now the Rabbanan need the phrase the Yom Trua to teach you that what? That the mitzvah of shofar is dafka by day and not at night. Rabbi Eliezer bayom v'lo balayla minale. Where does Rabbi Eliezer learn that the mitzvah of shofar is only by day and not at night? Nafkalei mi biyom kippurim taviru shofar b'chol artzechem v'gamrei mehadadi. So we'll say this is very interesting. Rabbi Eliezer learns this out from the shofar of Yom Kippur, specifically the shofar of Yovel. The shofar of Yovel, right? So again, which is what the pasuk says, that ultimately, again, by Yom Kippurim Taviru. So Yom, we see from here that just like the shofar on Yom Kippur was by day, so to the shofar of Rosh Hashanah is by day. The Gemara says, fine. So we'll say, so now we have Rabbi Eliezer learning out from Yom Trua to teach me that machshirei shofar are permitted on Shabbos. So once again, we ask the question, the lichtov Rahman, we'll say, first of all, you understand how incredible it is that we're learning about shofar now. It's almost Yomim Noraim, right? It's almost Mamish, it's almost Chodesh Elul, which means it's almost Rosh Hashanah. You know what I'm saying? The Svarim HaKadoshim, and the Hasidic literature is understood that Chodesh Av is actually the beginning of Yomim Noraim. People think it's Elul, but it's not Elul. It's Chodesh Av is the beginning of Yomim Noraim. So here, again, we're getting a head start to Yom Noraim shofar. Incredible. So the Gemara says, I v'lichtov rachmana b'shofar v'leisu hana v'ligmaru minei. So the Gemara says, so I have a better idea. So now that you've established that halacha l'maisa, I can do machshirei shofar on Shabbos. Let's learn everything else from shofar, right? Omer, it's like Chagad, right? Omer shtei alechem, lulav, sukkah. Let's learn matzah. Let's learn everything else from shofar. To which the Gemara says, hold on. The Gemara says, mitkiyah shofar, you can't learn out all of these other halachas from Tkiyah shofar and Rosh Hashanah. Why? We'll say, listen to this. Shekin machneses zichronos shal Yisrael laviyin shebashamayim. Because I was saying, shofar is a standalone mitzvah. Because what the shofar, the Rabbi say, these words are awesome. Because shofar brings before HaKadosh Baruch Hu all of the beautiful memories of Klal Yisrael. So I'll say all of the memories of our mitzvahs, all of the memories of our beautiful accomplishments, the memories of Akedas, Yitzchak, that's what the shofar does. The shofar brings all of this beautiful collective national memory before the Ribono Shel Olam. Shofar is in a stand-alone category. So I can understand maybe why the mitzvah of shofar, the machshiri shofar bidocha Shabbos, but that's unique by shofar, and you cannot necessarily use shofar to learn out anything else. Says the Gemara, so why not? So why not? So I'll say, so why not learn it out then from the shofar of Yom Kippur? To which the Gemara says, the Amar Mar Tiku based in shofar, niftu avodim lebateim besados chos lebanim. So I'll say, you can't learn it out from the shofar of Yom Kippur, or more specifically, the shofar of Yovel. Why not? Because that's also a dramatic shofar. Because we'll say, what happens with the shofar blast of Yom Kippur, of Yovel? Something amazing, which is, avodim, slaves go free, homes and fields go back to their original owners. So something so dramatic. So we'll say, so essentially the Gemara says is really something amazing, which is, as much as we've proven, according to Rabbi Eliezer, that Allah Lamaisa, machshire mitzvah of shofar, are docha Shabbos, you can't use shofar as a source for any of the other situations, of the other mitzvahs. Why? Because shofar is so unique. Shofar of Rosh Hashanah is so powerful for Zechronos. Shofar of Yovel is so powerful for the changes that it affects, and therefore it cannot serve as the base or as the source for the fact that machshiri, other mitzvahs, are also docha Shabbos. So we'll say we'll stop over here for today. We're not finished with the conversation, but again, what we begin to see over and over again is Shittas Rabbi Eliezer with machshire mitzvah docha Shabbos. Incredible, overwhelming Gemara. It gets again. It's just like this in Miras Hashem tomorrow as well. Oh, yeah. Avi, you'll,
Is the short office open that it can donate a toy to kids that are my son ill?
So we don't really do that, but the Kol Jewish Caring Network or a CRD,
JCN?
Yeah, JCN, they would do it, I'm sure.
Do we have something that I'm sure the kids would love?
Absolutely.